Hi, my objective here is to show you how to do a homework assignment. Problem sets are going to be assigned, and they'll usually consist of several problems that I'll ask you to turn in. And the easiest way to do that is to take the assignment notebook, like the one I'm showing you, which is a sample. It has just 2 problems, but similar kinds of setup will be in the regular problem sets. And first thing you want to do is save it, and I've already done that using a naming convention, which is to use your first name, your last initial, underscore, and then some identifier of the problem set. So I've called this Ken L sample.nb. So typically you'll download the notebook and it might say problem set 1 or be called PS1. I don't know what I'll be calling it, but whatever it is, just attach your name, first name, last initial, underscore, before the problem set name, and then save it. So now that you can start doing work, you don't have to refer to other notes as to what the problems are. You can just do the work underneath each problem. So here I've just shown you I'm going to show you a couple of problems. First is calculations. First part of problem number 1 is to solve a quadratic equation. It says find all real solutions to the equations. So I can use Mathematica to solve this equation. Type solve. And I won't get too much into the Mathematica here, too much of the detail. Just highlight a couple of things, but there's this solve function where I can solve x squared plus x plus 1 equal to 0. And double equals is the logical equals in Mathematica. And since I'm solving for just x, the second argument is x. Evaluate this, and this is a quadratic, so there are 2 solutions, but notice that both solutions are complex numbers. So my conclusion for part A is there are no real solutions. Now if I type this, when I do an evaluation, there's a horizontal line here, and if I start typing, I could type the sentence, there are no real solutions. There's a problem here though, this is actually what's called an input cell, just like the input I did the calculation or the evaluation to solve the equation. And input cells, when you evaluate a notebook, evaluate the cells in a notebook, will be evaluated. So if I evaluate this cell, I get gibberish because Mathematica is thinking that this is a product of variables. So what you want to do is when you're typing, I'll get rid of this output. When you're typing, often you will, this happens to me all the time. If you start typing, you'll notice that you're typing into an input cell. You can turn this into a text cell by going under the Format menu. First, select the cell bracket to the right. Under the Format menu, there's a Style submenu. Select Text. And there's a key command. It's Command 7 on a Mac, but if you're using Windows, the Windows key command will be right here. Okay, so this turns it into, notice the font change. It's a variable with font. I believe it's Times. It looks much better for reading. Now, many times what I'll do is I will give you a box to type into, and that box will be already text. So you can type in there are no real solutions, and you'll get you don't have to worry about the input cells. By the way, there's a spell checker, and I misspelled solutions. I can replace. Okay. All right, so that's one. Second equation, this is actually a system. I'll do a similar thing. I can solve. This time it's a system, so it's a list of 2 equations. Items separated by commas. You don't have to put an asterisk or anything between 2x and also 3y. That's taken to be multiplication. If you had some more general thing like ax, a and the x have to be separated by a space for it to be multiplication. Otherwise, ax is a variable name. Okay, so there's a list of equations and then a list of unknowns is the second argument. And when I solve that, I get actually one solution consisting of two rules, one for x and one for y. And we'll talk about how you deal with these rules as opposed to just lists of numbers later. And you could type your conclusion. There's one solution. I won't type the whole thing out. Okay, so we've done the first problem. The advantage to using the notebook that you're given assigned makes it a lot easier to work with the question. It's less likely to make transcription errors. Okay, now not all the problems are going to be calculations. Here's a problem that's actually a proof, and it's a moderately difficult one, so I wouldn't expect you to get this quickly. The problem says, let S be a subset of numbers 1 through 2n, containing n plus 1, that should be n plus 1 elements. Prove that there's always two numbers in A such that one divides the other. So this is actually an application of the pigeonhole principle, which you should have seen in Discrete 1. It's a very simple idea. You think of S now with the n plus 1 elements, and imagine for each of those numbers factoring out the 2's. So for each A in S, I've got it written out here, for each A in S, A can be written 2 to the k times an odd number. So imagine you've got n plus 1. Well, you've got n plus 1 numbers, but in the set 1 through 2n, when you do this, there's only n possible odd factors. This m value here can only be one of n different values. So, since there are only n possible odd factors, and you've got n plus 1 numbers in S, when you factor the 2's out, there's got to be two different numbers that have the same form, 2 to a power times m, 2 to another power times m. And clearly one of these divides the other, depending on which is larger, j or k. That's it. Okay, think about that. Again, that's just really applying the pigeonhole principle. You've got the pigeons, which are the numbers in S, and think of them deciding, each of those pigeons deciding which hole to go in, which odd number to go to, depending on what you get when you factor out the 2's. Okay, so this is written out. Notice that the mathematical notation is italicized. That's the proper way to type mathematics. A couple of inconsistencies here. This M should be italicized and this N should be. And there'll be more information later on how you do these two-dimensional expressions. I won't get into that now. So I just wanted to primarily talk about what you do when you have a problem set and how you solve the problems, turn them in. And by the way, I guess I should have mentioned this typing would be done in a text cell. And you want to save, and finally, once you're finished, just submit it to the Dropbox for the assignment. That's about it. There'll be more videos later on different parts of working with Mathematica.